when I was reading this, it made a lot of good points. It really did. So I'm pretty sure everybody has seen or read this book. Hopefully you've read it. I'm sure everyone's seen it on TikTok. I enjoy it a lot. It made some very good points. So far, I've read the first 8 chapters. So let's see. I've been highlighting certain things. I'm a little sad because my book, I got water on it by accident up here. So now it's all like wrinkly. It's weird. Anyway, I so far have read the first 8 chapters. It's a very small book, you know, I might finish it today and continue a video on it later, but I just wanted to talk about, you know, what I've highlighted in it. So it's called Don't Believe Everything You Think, Why Your Thinking is the Beginning and End of Suffering. So it's a really good book. I am definitely an overthinker. I think a lot of people are. And, you know, I overthink. I'm very much I prepare. I like to prep things. So I honestly, when I was reading this, it made a lot of good points. It really did. So I'm going to talk about what chapters I've read so far and, you know, just talk about things that I've actually highlighted. So I have highlighted a few things and quoted a few things. So let's see what I've done. I haven't looked at this in a hot minute, so that's why I'm like, what did I highlight in this? So the introduction, what you will discover in this book and how to get the most out of reading it. One section I highlighted a couple actually. Good. One section I highlighted was, the feeling is real, what we want in our lives, not the physical things, but the trap is that we believe the physical things will give us those feelings. I love this quote right here, because it's literally basically saying that what we want in our lives, not physical, but what people think they are physical things. Like, you know, when you look on people online, you look at anything, you think, oh, that person has a nice car, they have money, they have this and that. But that's not what, you know, you think that's what you want, but that's not really what you want. People, you know, want love and people around them. They want, you know, spiritual things, but they think it's the physical, the physical items, but it's not. And I've definitely seen, like, one example I think that could be good for people to relate to, you know, is with relationships. People want the physical part of it. I think people seek out the physical part of it, like the sex part of it, because they think that's what they want. They just want that part. But no, you want I would say the spiritual connection, the loving connection, the care of someone, like all those kind of things is what, you know, people truly want in a relationship. But, you know, if a relationship, if whatever you're in, some fling, or if you're, you know, just doing booty calls or whatever, that's what you're gonna get, is the physical, and people think that's what it is you want. But when it's just that, you don't want that. You know, you want the whole as a combo. I think that's a good example, but I really did like this one. It kind of made me think, like, wow, like I feel like we always go after those physical things, whether it's, you know, money related, or, you know, the bougie stuff that people want to buy, showing off, you know, name brand stuff, and, you know, the physical traits of people. But it's like, we don't want that. We want actual connections, spiritual connections with people. And I really thought that was a great spot. I'm happy that was the first one that I highlighted. And, you know, like, obviously, you know, I can always go back and read the whole thing, but those certain things that I quoted or highlighted, those are the things I know I can always go back to and look at. The next thing I highlighted was, you must look beyond the form, parentheses, the physical, parentheses, to see and experience the truth, parentheses, the spiritual, parentheses. That just basically went off of what I said. Like, you must look beyond the form, the physical, to see and experience the spiritual. That's what it's saying. Look beyond whatever's physical, look beyond items, and, you know, experience the spiritual side of it. That really is awesome. I'm trying to be more in touch, you know, with spirituality and all of that. I like to talk to my aunt about that a lot. I have a couple aunts that I like to talk about, you know, spiritual stuff, manifesting, and like Buddhism especially. I think Buddhism is really a spiritual way of going about your life, and it's really beautiful. It really is. So I'm trying to do more stuff like that. So the fact that, you know, this is saying experience the truth, the spiritual part versus just the physical. Because the physical, it's like, it's good in certain cases, it's nice and all, but when you really experience and see the spiritual side of things, and just like when it comes to the experience versus just like the physical of like whatever you're doing, those are the beautiful moments. I feel like I'm trying to think of examples of myself. I'm kind of just honestly winging this, I'm not gonna lie. But I'm just want to talk about like how these sections made me feel. Like, I think when you look online and social media and everything, people are going to put the best they think, or, make it look really good. And a lot of times behind the camera, on the back end of things, it's not as sweet and cute and dandy as it looks on their Instagram or TikTok or whatever. And those are unfortunate, but it's because they are looking through the lens of their camera or their phone or whatever, and just looking at that one snippet versus the picture as a whole. And I feel like a lot of people, they force that kind of stuff a lot. Like, I've had experience with that, like family members that they care about posting and what pictures there are and this and that, and it's like, that's not why we're here, that's not why we're spending time together. It should be actually spending one-on-one time together and all that. Like, I know I was looking at my phone recently and I'm like, I don't have too many pictures of me and my own boyfriend. I'm like, what the heck, man? But when we go and do things, we're spending time experiencing whatever we're doing together and enjoying our company and stuff. Like, whether we do like our dinner dates or like Disneyland. Like, I think Disneyland's a good example for me, because yes, the physical is spending money to go there, the driving to go there, physically being there, taking pictures, posting it, this and that. But I'm not even thinking about any of that kind of stuff, because when I'm there and I'm seeing the magic of it all and being there with my boyfriend and seeing his reaction to things, because they might be new or whatever, that's the parts that I really love. I think we can see a lot of that with children, like with my little brother, taking him to Disneyland. He doesn't think of the back end stuff, the money and, oh, we have to work, make money, do whatever to be able to buy these tickets. That comes with some stresses, this and that. He's there experiencing it. He's experiencing and taking in the moment. Like, I feel like that's the spiritual side of it, and that's the beautiful side of it. It really, really is. And I think a lot more people need to do that with anything that they do, and I think that's also too why people, again, this is just my opinion on this one section or what I kind of think about, but I feel like a lot of people spend money on experiences, and that's okay. That really is okay. Like, I saw Coachella's happening and they're writing articles about how people are going into debt to go, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to go into debt to go to Coachella, especially since it's hot. Like, fuck that. Sorry. I don't know if I'm okay missing it, like, I would love to go, it'd be a fun experience for sure, but I just like, if I had the money, I would. I just don't want to, that's just me personally, I don't want to deal with the stress and all that of the money and debt to go. But the people that do go and, they are putting it on Afterpay or whatever, Klarna, whatever, it's like I really hope they're enjoying themselves and forgetting about that stress for a minute and just enjoying the experience of being there, enjoying their time with friends or family, whoever they're with, and seeing the artists that they see. I forgot the guy's name, I'm so bad with names, but the guy that does like flips and shit, he went up there with like a famous guitar player, the Queen or Bohemian Rhapsody song, whatever. Again, I'm bad with names. If you play the song for me, I'll know what it is and I'll sing my little heart out, but I'm not bad with the name of the song or whoever it's by. Like, I get some of them and not all of them. But like something like that, like, imagine being there, experiencing that. And look at, that's another good example. Physically being there, spending the money and everything to be there and watch it. That's a beautiful experience being there. But someone like me who's at home, me and my grandma and my little brother put that on the TV. We're at home, but we still felt the experience. We still felt how amazing it was, feeling the rumble of the sound even just through the TV, not being that loud, and watching it, and then watching my little brother who freaking knows this song who's 7 and knows this song, watching it and experience it. Yeah, I feel like those are two still similar experiences, but one's someone in the comfort of their home watching on TV, and one is someone physically being there. People will experience things in their lives in different ways, because with the going and being there, like, there's a lot of physical obviously you're being there, you know. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm kind of just rambling. I feel like this should have been one of my elevated talks. Maybe I'll do that for after the second half of the book once I'm done. Look at my cute little bookmark. I love it. I love these little magnet bookmarks. They're so cute. I love it. But yeah, I love that section. Those quotes that I read, and they hit me. That's why I highlighted a lot of stuff in here, but that's why that honestly hit me. Okay, chapter 1. The journey to discovering the root of suffering. So this chapter kind of, you know, when you think just what is overthinking, why do we overthink, this really like helped you understand what it is and how to not do it. I actually really liked it. So one part I highlighted or underlined: no matter what happens in your life, you do not have to suffer emotionally and psychologically. So with this one, basically what it said in this chapter, like just to very, very simplify it, is you overthinking, you have control to not do that. It's very hard. It's not easy, of course. It's very hard to just stop overthinking, you know. You have the control to do that because with you overthinking, that affects your emotions. Like if you think longer than a minute or two or whatever on something that upset you, you start to overthink it, and then now you're just upset, if that makes sense. That's basically what this chapter explained. Like it gave the example of you know, when someone's road raging, let's say you're in traffic and someone cuts you off. In that split second of it happening, yeah, okay, it's annoying, you're upset and mad, whatever. In that moment, most of the time, most people are gonna be like, oh my god, like they're gonna start cussing, they're gonna be like, oh my god, what the heck, they're gonna think about it all day, they're gonna, you know, oh yeah, I got cut off, talk about it later. You doing all those actions afterwards is it's kind of you overthinking it, and you're still talking about it, or you're still giving energy to it, to that negative thing. So of course it's going to make you negative, it's going to make you upset, it's going to make you heated and angry because you keep talking about it. Versus, you know, in that moment of them cutting you off, just skip over it, forget it, whatever, who cares, didn't have it, move on. I think that's what's hard for a lot of people to do, especially when things upset them. Like people, you know, people not enjoy, but people usually rant, they usually complain. Sorry, I have my door open. They usually complain. That's just what people do. You know, it's kind of, I feel like it's a way of kind of being validated in your feelings of how you're feeling. But, you know, if you kind of skip over that, or, you know, don't think about that or whatever, you can just in a way move on. And again, these are all very easier said than done, of course. Like, I'm not going to say I don't road rage or something, you know, but I'm trying to learn that it's okay. Just, you know, get mad, cuss for a second, whatever you have to do, and then move on. Forget about it. Get over it. Don't go home and tell your significant other or whoever, oh my god, this guy cut me off, it was so annoying, they were driving this. Of course they would, whatever. Just move on. It's very something small in a way. You know, of course you got to correct yourself or think about not doing it, but I think that's doable. I think after I read that part, I was just like, okay, don't keep talking about it. You know, I think it also relates to, you know, people that have toxic work environments, you know, or, you know, just trouble at work. My mom has told me after, you know, I had a toxic job for a long time, finally left. My mom told me, because, you know, I come home and, you know, I complain about it. I tell my boyfriend, I tell my grandma. Sometimes my grandma, she likes to hear the drama. It's different, but, you know, I tell my boyfriend about it. And, you know, he's listening, of course. He's listening about my day. That's what we do and stuff. He's understanding. My mom, one time, she's like, Tati, like, no one wants to hear that every day when you come home, you know, like, try to keep it at work. And, you know, it was brutally honest, but, like, I understood it. I'm like, wow. Because she's like, you know what, think of his point of view. Think of him, you know, having to hear all that, and then you get upset, you get fired up again, and that's not good. Come home. As soon as you get in your car from work, relax, do your thing, listen to podcasts, listen to music, whatever, which is what I do now, and just don't think about it. Like, yeah, if someone asks how was your day, then, you know, do a brief little, yeah, it was okay, it was alright, or a little wild today, but I got through it, you know. You can do that, but, you know, don't let it overpower you. Don't let it come home either, because when you come home and you come into your room, and, you know, your home is your oasis, you want that to be comforting, you want it to be relaxing, you don't want to bring all that negative shit into here, you know, like, leave it out there. I don't want it. Okay, the next part I did, it was literally the next freaking paragraph. Like, I have a couple here, one up here, I think. So I did a lot, but I really liked it. One part I quoted. Again, I don't know why I underlined some things. And then I also quoted some parts. I don't know what my difference was with that. I guess whatever. In my head, I was thinking like, okay, whatever makes sense to me at the time. I don't know how I did it. This part that I quoted: although we experience a lot of pain in our lives, suffering is optional. So see, that's kind of to the point of with the road to rage example. You could, or the toxic work environment bringing it home thing. It's kind of like you can control if you suffer or not by talking about it or not, or by giving it energy or not. So I really like that although we do experience a lot of pain in our lives, suffering is optional. So yes, everyone experiences all different levels of pain in their lives, but suffering is optional. You can decide to let it control you or not. You can decide to let it, be who you are, or don't. And you suffering later, it's optional. You don't have to, depending on how you look at it, depending on how you take it. But again, because there's a lot of different levels of pain that people can experience in their lives, whether it's the pain of losing someone or the pain of, stubbing your toe. It's like there's so many different levels and everyone's going to experience it so differently. The suffering part, I think it is like what this says, it is optional depending on how you look at things after. Like obviously with stubbing your toe, it's like, okay, you're gonna sit there and hold it, it's a little bit of suffering, and then just walk away or walk on it, continue on with whatever you're doing. Versus losing the pain of losing someone, obviously that's a very different type of pain and experience that can take a long time to heal, or to just get by on it. As far as suffering goes, if you're bringing it up all the time, if you're purposely making yourself sad about it, that that could also be related to like suffering is optional. But again, those are all very different things and take time for all different people. Take that as you will. It says right after this, it says, in other words, pain is unavoidable, but how we react to the events and circumstances that happen in our lives is up to us, and that will dictate whether or not we suffer. That's a good way to put it. Like, pain is definitely unavoidable. Like, there's pain in, again, all different levels of it, from stubbing your toe to losing someone to anything. There's different levels of it, but how we react to it is, up to us. It's up to us. We have control of that, and that will help us from suffering or not. That's why they say suffering is optional. We can dictate whether we suffer or not. I really like that point. It really helps put a perspective on things, because I feel like a lot of people kind of have the mindset of like, woe is me, and once something bad's happening in their life, they feel like they can't get back up. Like, of course, I understand why people might feel that way, but you can't live like that forever. You gotta eventually pick yourself up and do something about it, or do some type of change. Like, you can't just, it's kind of basically like, you can't just be the victim forever, and if you do, that's you choosing to be the victim forever. I like it too because this book also mentions Buddhism, which I'm somewhat studying, learning. I have family members that are Buddhists, and I chant here and there. I definitely don't do it enough like I should be. I do come to some of their meetings that they have at the center, so I really do enjoy it and like it. To me, it's a very spiritual way of, I wouldn't even say it's a way of life, because everyone just does their thing, but then they chant and it brings everyone together. It's really, honestly, it's beautiful. I love it. So I'm trying to get more into it and understand it more. I wouldn't say like, oh, I'm Buddhist, I'm still learning it. I want to understand it more and learn it more, because there's people that really know it and really understand it. Like my family members, they've been Buddhist forever, and they know what they're doing. They know the gist of it more than I do. But I'm definitely learning it. But this book brought it up as well. The author did. Part I quoted was, Buddhists say that 2 arrows fly our way whenever we experience a negative event. Being physically struck by an arrow is painful. Being struck by a second emotional arrow is even more painful. Suffering. Basically saying, when a negative event happens to us, the first arrow hits you. Obviously, that's the painful one. The second arrow is emotional. It's even more painful, and that's the suffering part of it. So yes, of course, there is going to be suffering. It's going to be painful. There's going to be suffering afterwards. I think what it's saying before is that we have the choice and control to suffer for however long, or to control that suffering and how it affects us. The next part says that I quoted, or parenthesed, The Buddha explained, in life, we can't always control the first arrow. However, the second arrow is our reaction to the first. The second arrow is optional. Wow, so I need to read this before I start talking because I forgot about that part. It is saying the second arrow is optional. Like the other quote said, the suffering is optional. It's our reaction to the first. First arrow, of course, is painful. I'm trying to give an example. Like maybe like a heartbreak. You know, like let's say you broke up with someone and, you know, that first arrow of the breakup, that part's the painful part. The second arrow that is optional, the suffering, not to say pity party, I don't want to say it like that, because people, you know, people suffer in their own ways, and sometimes you have to get through it, the suffering part, to bounce back up. Like I think with women specifically, they usually do have that moment of suffering, the, you know, being in the room, in bed, sad, upset, crying, you know, eating, doing whatever to cope in the moment, but then they bounce right back up. I think with women in that kind of scenario, they do suffer a little bit, but then you know what, they take that freaking second arrow out and, you know, they throw it away, whatever, and they bounce back. I think that happens a lot with women, especially when it comes to breakups specifically. Like, yeah, it's okay to experience it for a little bit. Some people experience it for a few days or so. Some people weeks, months, years, whatever. But at some point, you take out that second arrow and you're like, no, I had enough. I'm not going to sit here and suffer. I'm not going to sit here and do nothing. I'm going to go back out there and live my life, do what I want to do, and eventually meet someone else, you know, once the time is right. So I really like that point. It's really a good point, and I love this book. It really is amazing. Chapter 2, the root cause of suffering. One part I highlighted was how the world looks to both of you couldn't be more different. Oh, okay, because I can't read, I'm not going to read the whole thing clearly, but it gave an example of different people's perspectives. I think the example it gave was, an example of this, that you could be sitting in a coffee shop having a quarter life crisis, completely stressed out of your mind. You have no idea what you're doing with your life. Everyone else has theirs together. So let's say that's one person in the coffee shop having that midlife crisis. They're stressed out. They don't know what to do. They feel like they're comparing themselves to everyone else in the world, and they feel like they don't have everything put together compared to other people. There's another person in the coffee shop next to this person. They are happily enjoying their cup of coffee. They are just sitting there peacefully watching people watching, doing their thing, just sitting there. It's peaceful for them, enjoying their time. They're not stressing or anything. Those are two different people in the same world, you know, in the same, you know, space, having two completely different experiences in the moment. One is stressed the fuck out, scared, probably feels lonely, whatever. The other person at peace, people watching, drinking their coffee, enjoying their day, relaxed. Part I underlined was how the world looks to both of you couldn't be more different. Wow. Sorry, it makes me really think. Like, I enjoy people watching, I really do. I'm not too social or anything, but I do enjoy people watching. And I think I've done it a lot more lately. Like, when me and my boyfriend went to Disney, that was honestly the only times I think I would ever be in, like, very crowded areas or seeing other people. I don't really go out that much. I don't go, like, to bars or whatever. Like, yeah, we go to restaurants for dinner or do whatever, movies here and there. Somewhere like Disneyland is interesting because, you know, obviously it's a very happy place. It's like what if I'm basically that happy person in the coffee shop watching people, you know, happy, relax, enjoy their time, whatever. It's interesting, you know. So when I am people watching now, and I see myself doing it a lot more, I'm honestly like so intrigued by it. I think because I don't socialize enough, and also too with people online, like I feel like it's just like, you know, it's not real. It's not always real. You don't know what you're looking at. I've gotten to a better habit of when I'm online, I just can't think like, whatever, this ain't real, or this is probably not real, because you never freaking know. I'm not gonna just, oh my god, that's so true. Like, everything to me is just fake online. It really is, whether it's real or not. Like, unless it's like some beautiful sunset, that's different. But even that, it could be edited. You really never know. So when I'm out in public, and I think that's why I've been enjoying being outside more and doing things outdoors more, is because it's the real thing. So when I see certain people, like, I'm like, wow, people are beautiful. People are so creative and unique and different. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I'd be sitting there staring like, wow, Like, her dress is beautiful. I wonder where she got that from. Wow, this person's hair, it's so, like, it looks so soft. Like, I wonder what stuff they use, you know? You just kind of sit there and wonder and just like, wow, these are real human beings all having real experiences. And also, too, like, with this example of one person's stressed out, one person's relaxing, you never, like, when you really look at each human being, like, think about yourself and the things that go on in your life, whether it's good or bad or anything. You really don't know what's happening with other people's lives. What if that person is the stressed person in the coffee shop, you know? And I think one thing that I've learned from my best friend is, you know, if you can, compliment people, make them smile or smile back at them, do whatever you can. Like, my friend, I'm very like closed in, so I want to like avoid people at all costs sometimes. But my friend, she, whenever we would go out, she would compliment people, tell girls their hair looked really nice, oh, your nails are pretty or something, and you know, it immediately lit them up, and it made their day. You never know what's happening with them at home, and the fact that my friend just said, oh, your nails look good or whatever, they're cute, it made their day. And I really applaud her every time she does that. And I kind of can see myself kind of opening up and like, wow, like, that was so nice. Like, I need to do that more often. Like, you really never know how people's days are going, and to do something simple like that, it really is beautiful. And I think it helps people a lot, because you never know what's happening. Whether they're having a good or bad day, it's gonna make their day a little bit better. And I've tried to do that a lot more if I can, or whenever I'm out and about. Like, when we were at Disney, I saw people with cool shirts or something I've never seen before, I would compliment them like, oh my god, that's so cool, or where'd you get that from? Like, one time this girl was trying on a jacket and her boyfriend was taking a picture of her, and I looked and he looked at me and I'm like, sorry, I just, like, jacket looks really cute on her, sorry. And, you know, just complimenting, and she's like, oh, thank you, you know, typical. But, you know, that makes people's days. And I think that's something that we all lack with socializing out in public, because yeah, at home on my phone, I'm gonna, you know, it's a little similar to commenting stuff, but people, you know, they have high expectations for likes and comments and all these things. So, like, yeah, it's nice to comment here and there, or like certain stuff. Like, I do that with my friends. When you do it in person, I feel like it's more genuine versus just online behind a screen. It really is. So I always try to do that. My friend taught me that. Like, just watching her do that and seeing how much it made people's days is really beautiful to me. Try to do that yourself too at home. Try and compliment people if you can when you're out and about in any way. Most people live their own thoughts and perceptions of the world. Yeah, we all do. We all look at everything very differently. We all obviously have different interests, different hobbies, different, you know, favorite, like, colors. Like, I am looking at all my Legos, my flower Legos right now, and I'm just like, oh my god, they are so beautiful. I love them. You know, they're so cute. There's some people that are just like, that's not my thing or whatever. Those are ugly. Who cares? That's them. This is me. Most people, everyone lives in their own thoughts and perceptions of the world. Everyone has their different opinions, so it's okay. Another part I underlined was, any meaning or thinking we give the event is on us. That is how our perception of reality is created. This is how our experience of life is created from the inside out. This one was really cool. I have to repeat it just so I can really understand it. Any meaning or thinking we give the event is on us. That, I feel like, goes back to the other section of, you know, the suffering or not, a little bit. How it's like, it's basically your perception, what you think of that thing, or meaning that you give that thing. You know, the person that, you know, like, go back to the road rage example. Any meaning you give to it, if you give it meaning, if you let it, you know, upset you and overtake your thoughts and just ruin your day, you gave it to that. You gave that event and that negative energy and that thought, versus, you know, and that negative thinking, versus just forgetting about it, you know, just brushing it off, whatever. I really like that, because it's, you know, any event that happens in your life, of course, there is gonna be a little bit of suffering with certain things. Again, I want to be sensitive to very tough, difficult situations in life, but when it comes to things that are negative, like a bad workplace, toxic job, road rage, those are things that we can just don't give it thought, don't give it meaning, don't give it anything. It won't make you suffer later. I'm trying to use the wording that's in here, but, like, I don't know another way to describe it. that just what it's saying flat out is like, it makes so much sense, and you just kind of have to think about it in your own perspective and stuff. You know, I try to remember this book when I'm just going through everyday stuff. I think I'm gonna read this last part of the chapter 2. So we got through the introduction, chapter 1 and 2 today, and I'll do another video on the next few chapters. That's good. I think a few chapters, because I talked a lot, because also too my camera's gonna die. That's fine. But the last section or last part that I highlighted in this last couple parts, they don't have the power to make me angry without my own reaction. This is great because example of something like, let's say like in that coffee shop reference, someone spills coffee on you and it gets all over your clothes. You can either sit there and make yourself suffer and be angry and mad and just whatever, or you know what, it's okay, it's an accident, move on, go clean yourself up, go home and change, do whatever, and move on with the day. If you just sit there and be angry, mean, and nasty, and just have the negative thought of, oh my god, this idiot, you never know, that person's not an idiot, it was an accident, they didn't mean to. They don't have the power to make me angry without my own reaction. That person doesn't have the power. That they're not the reason I'm angry. It's the event that happened that, you know, was an accident. The only person that can make yourself angry is you. They're not making you angry. It's what they did is what made you angry. It's the event that happened. You overthinking it, you giving power to that negative energy, you giving power to talking in a mean way. That's you making yourself angry. That's you thinking about it a little too much. Next chapters, I'll go over chapter 3, 4, probably 5 to, like, I'll just probably do a few chapters each, because right now I'm starting chapter 9. That's kind of where I'm at in the book. So again, I'll keep highlighting stuff and we'll talk about it, because honestly this book makes really good points. It really does. I'm a little sad that it got ruined and bent, but whatever, I could still always read it. And I also saw, I didn't know, on Spotify, if you have premium, there's free Audible books, and I think this one was one of them. And I almost started listening to it, but I was like, no, I don't want to just listen to it. I want to be able to highlight. So I'm being good and highlighting stuff. Next part, we will go over chapter 3, 4, and 5. And you know, I've noticed I highlighted a lot of different things. So if you're interested, come back for the next part. If you can get a copy of this book, I saw it on, I think, Amazon, TikTok. Yeah, get this book, read it. You know, if you highlighted some parts, if you've already read this and there's some points that you really, really like, tell me. Like, I would be very curious and want to know. These are just the parts that stand out to me, and I really enjoyed it. And clearly, you know, there's a lot to think about, even if it's something simple. Like, some of these sentences are very simple. Once you read it like a few times, it's like, whoa. Like, I get it. Thank you for watching. Another quick update too, just a quick update. I actually finally made a stand store, and I'm very happy about that. I've been wanting to make one for a little bit now, and I have a couple products on there that I made. I have a digital planner on there and a budgeting tracker that I personally use for my own budgets. I made one for me and my partner, so we have like one that's just me and then one that we have combined, because you know, we combine certain bills and things like that. So if you want that, you know, or if you want to check out the daily tracker color, because I color block my schedule throughout the day. It's really cool. You can print it out or you color in it. If you have your iPad or your phone or whatever, you can highlight what time periods you want for dedicated to certain things to help you keep on track with your schedule. But I do have that in my stand store. I'll have that, my link in my bio and everything like that. So I'm trying to work on, you know, getting into the groove of it and promoting it, and hopefully, you know, seeing people use that kind of stuff. Thank you for watching. Go get this book. I do recommend it. It's really awesome. And we'll talk about the next chapters next time. Thank you.